Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the #1 undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxey.
And my partner in crime, Harold Hunt.
What's up, man?
What's up? And welcome to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown. I am your host, Mark Roxey, and I am here with my partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt. What's up?
What's up? Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this, bro. Let's do this. This is spectacular. For those of you tuning in on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, we appreciate you being with us. If you're following us or watching us on YouTube or Facebook Live, thank you for being with us. We just want to remind you that you can participate in the podcast by just putting your comments there. We'll chat you up. We'll talk with you live on the air here tonight, which is Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Bud Crawford. This is a big night of boxing, people, and we're coming to you live pre-show because we know that tonight it's going down, Harold.
Yeah, it is.
So,
yeah, it is.
Harold. So a lot of people don't know, by the way, today's September 13th. We usually don't date our podcast, but it is the Canelo fight. Tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, or I think it's Central. Let me see. No, Pacific Time, with the main event walking into the ring at 11 o'clock p.m. Live on Netflix, you guys, live on Netflix. So, we're going to be finishing this podcast probably right around 7:45, 7:45, and off we go, man. We got a lot of boxing to get into. But this podcast, this one today, this podcast is coming to you primarily to break down Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Bud Crawford. This is going to be a heated one. And I'm going to tell you that, there's going to be a lot of people, I'm sure, putting in their messages after this one. So we're going to go on the limb. Harold and I were talking about this. Like, we don't normally make fight predictions where, we flip-flop back and forth because, we want to be fair to all the fighters. But I think tonight things have come to a head. I think tonight Harold definitely has drawn the line in the sand. He's got an opinion about who's going to win, and he's not backing down. And I have an opinion on who I think is going to win, and I'm not backing down. I don't think. Anyway, Harold can maybe get me to back down, but doubtful. Anyway, Harold, let's talk about Canelo and Crawford. What's up?
Well, as you know, we got that fight coming up. Now, the public sees one way, and us as insiders, or we believe we're insiders, we see things a little differently. So initially, what I see is this. The adage is a good big man always beats a good small man. And that's played its hand in boxing forever.
Right.
However, there's two instances where it did not happen. Now, for you old heads, is Jack Dempsey and a fighter, but recently it's been Tarver and Bernard Hopkins. Ooh. Hopkins was the small man, a good small man, and Tarver was a good big man. At that time, everyone said there's no way he was going to win. Tarver has gone on record saying that he lost that fight because he understood that Bernard Hopkins let him know in the very first minute of the round that he was the better boxer. And therefore, Bernard did not have to engage, and he went the distance and he won, and he was a smaller man. So Hopkins is saying if Bud can let Canelo know that boxing is what I'm going to do, no matter what you do, you can't outbox me. There's no need for me to stand in there with you. Then that adage of the good big man and the good small man is thrown out the window. And Bernard Hopkins is the person who has done that, and you can see that. So that's initially what I've seen and understood and did some reference on, Mark. So I watched a few other fights, Mark. What's your opinion so far on, what you've gathered?
Yeah. So I mean, man, you just like, you really, in what you just said, you kind of like opened up a different aspect of something that I hadn't really thought too much about. I haven't spent too much time thinking about that aspect of it, where, Bud is a very, very good boxer. Terence Bud Crawford is he can fight both sides. He can box. He can move around. His ring IQ is super high. I mean, we're not debating that. That's why it makes such a compelling fight, because you really don't know. None of us really know who's going to win. We're just going out on a limb saying who we think is going to win, and based on how we think the fight is going to happen. But see, that's an interesting perspective that you had, Harold, because I personally didn't think that Bud is going to, I didn't think Bud is going to come to this fight and box Canelo. I felt like he's putting on this extra weight. This is going to be a fight. Crawford's going to be stepping to him on his front leg the entire time, Bud on his back leg the entire time. I'm thinking Bud is going to clip him. He's going to have a chance of clipping Canelo in spots. If Canelo makes a mistake, it could end up catastrophic for Canelo. But the bigger man, the stronger man, the more thick guy who's accustomed to be at this weight, walking around at this weight, knows how to rehydrate from this weight, is very, very comfortable in his skin. His punch resistance at this weight class is very, very, very good, meaning Canelo, he's used to being hit on the arms and everywhere in this weight class. And some of the things that I am concerned about, Harold, and I want to know what you think about it, is can Bud take those shots on the hands, on the arms, on the body, early on in the fight, or does it break him down, is kind of what I'm thinking. These are the questions that I have about the fight. And I wonder what you're thinking. Harold, tell me.
Well, as you know, when Canelo beat Smith, he beat his arms and shoulders to the point where he took his arms out, right, and he was able to take him out. When he when he lost to Bivol said his shoulders and arms were hurt for 2 weeks, because that's Canelo's strategy. Canelo will go after the shoulders and the arms and all of that if he can't land where he wants to land, onto the head or to the body. Right. So we know that Canelo will go to the arms. He will go to the biceps. He will go to the shoulders, and he will really rip the punches to that, because that is a part of what he does. So he beat Plant like that. Took his arms and shoulders out. He beat McCallum like that, arms and shoulders out. He beat everyone when he went on that run and became undisputed. He beat them by making them lower their guards by going to the shoulders and the biceps and all that. Right. However, Mark, there is a scuttlebutt that has recently came up.
Oh, what is that?
Bud supposedly has a shoulder injury.
A shoulder injury? What?
So in order to buffer that with the press, this happened a couple of days ago, he came on the camera and said, look, I've got a bad right shoulder or I have a bad left shoulder. I don't know. Just don't tell Canelo. Okay? He said that to the press. Wow. So he's deflecting that maybe there's something wrong or maybe not. When fights are like this, all kind of rumors start floating around. So he addressed it in the casual way, because we don't know what's what. Now, Mark, you're training big time. You know, no fighter comes to the fight 100% healthy. Floyd only came one time, complete healthy, and that was against Gotti. All the other times he was hurt. So both of these fighters are hurt. We don't know what it is. We just don't know. You never come. So we don't know who's hurt or what's hurt. Now, if Crawford really has a shoulder issue, it's going to be tested because that's what Canelo does. He goes to your shoulders. He goes to you. He does. Now, I went back and watched some other fights. I watched the Bivol fight and the Jacobs fight, the Lara fight, and the Floyd fight because that style gave Canelo problems.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. His style did give Canelo problems. Also, Bud is a southpaw. He fights in a southpaw stance. He does alternate back and forth, but typically he does better as a southpaw. And, that's going to be an interesting element to the fight. That's going to, tactically, it has certain combinations coming off. Canelo has to use, the straight right hand very effectively. Does he go to the face with the right hand? Does he go to the body? Does he trap him? Is he following up to the liver? Is, the liver's right there for a southpaw. If Bud's fighting in a southpaw stance, his lead is very, very close to Canelo's left hook, which is one of Canelo's best punches, right? Also, his straight right hand up the middle is pretty darn good. So the question is, Bud's prepared for that. Bud's trained, to be able to deal with that. This is it's a rudimentary boxing skill sets, but sometimes basics win fights. And my thing, and I said this 6 months ago when they announced this fight. You remember, Harold, and those of you that are listening, go back and listen to some of our original podcasts before anybody was even talking about the fight. Harold and I was talking about it, and one of the things we discussed in depth was the size differential and the elements. So go back and listen to that podcast. But just to reiterate what I said, going up 2 weight classes is a big deal. I don't know any fighter that would tell you otherwise, or any other trainer that would tell you otherwise. Now, Crawford is not normal. We can't say he's the alien because that's that name's already been taken. But Crawford is somewhat of an alien as well. And for him to dare to be great and to go up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo Alvarez is a huge endeavor. But it's not unlike what Canelo did against Demetrius Bivol. It is the same kind of move, jumping 2 weight classes to make a fight and really, to beat the king of the division, right? So he's daring to be great. I love that about Crawford. I'm so impressed that he would take that fight and do that. But as a trainer, like if it was me working with any fighter, and the fighter says, "Hey, we've been offered this fight, 2 weight classes up. What do you think?" The first thing that's going to come out of my mouth as a trainer is, "No, we're not taking that fight. That doesn't work. Going up 2 weight classes to fight a bigger fighter is a no-no. We just don't do that, right? We wouldn't do that." So that's like my trainer instinct, Harold. But if I'm talking about legacy and I'm talking about millions of dollars, you know how much the guys are getting paid, don't you?
Yes. Crawford's going to make 50,
Ooh.
but Canelo's going to make 150.
Okay.
That's the guaranteed money. Now, we don't know what the back end is. We don't rest know how Netflix scales their money because it's not a pay-per-view type thing.
Right.
We know Netflix has tremendously deep pockets because they spend millions upon millions on their own movies and what have you.
Right.
So the pockets is not even an issue here. Then you've got the Sheik who's dropped some extra money on top of whoever happens to, knock someone out, the type of thing.
Right.
So Bud's making 50. He's making 150. Now, a point that I want to just throw out is you've got Bivol, who beat Canelo simply by continuing with the left hand, right hand down the pike, 1-2, 1-2, and he got Canelo going back. Yeah. And he simply did so. Then I went back and watched the Jacobs fight. Jacobs lost, of course, but Jacobs stood there the whole time. Jacobs didn't get knocked down, didn't get knocked off his dime, but he lost. But he stood in there because he was able to come back with that left hand, right, that 1-2, and roll and make Canelo work a little bit. Yes. So he lost the fight, but he didn't get beat up or anything like that. So then you go to the Floyd fight. We know what happened there. Right. So all I am saying is, if in fact Bud can say, yes, I'm going to box you, but there's power boxing, right? Power boxing is I'm going to still, clip you if you come in here like this. Yeah. So what do you think about the power box situation that Bud may use against Canelo? Because Canelo's going to be coming forward.
Harold, that's a great question. And it's also something that could potentially give Canelo a lot of trouble. And if I look at the fight from the standpoint of where Canelo could run into trouble, it's when Canelo's moving forward, which, by the way, is what he does best, right? What Canelo does best is move forward. He moves forward. He cuts the ring down. Earlier in his career, he didn't do such a good job at cutting the ring down, like when he was fighting Floyd and stuff. But over the years, he's learned how to really manage the ring properly, and he's cut down some big opponents by really shaving the ring short and cutting it down. The problem with it is that actually is what, in my view, Crawford's best skill set, which is his counterpunching. And he will draw you out and he will pull you into positions and have you falling into his shots. And I think that's kind of where Canelo could run into some problems. If there's going to be problems tonight, people, it's tonight. It's tonight. This is happening tonight. But if there's a chance for Canelo to mess up this fight, it's in those moments when, in my view, when Crawford is setting traps on his back foot. Because Crawford knows how to do that. He also can switch in those moments to get out of harm's way and score big. So, that's a little bit of a different fight than what we talked about before, where, much like, there's lots of fighters that are really skillful at pulling fighters. Gervonta Davis is one of the best at it, right? Knowing how to pull fighters into precarious spots and then knock them the heck out, right? So, yes. He's a great example, but in this particular fight, Crawford also does that really well. But I don't know, because I've seen Crawford fast, very, very fast in his previous weight classes. I can tell you personally, when fighters go up 2 weight classes, it's literally like carrying duffel bags. You're slower. You just naturally feel slower. Your mind tells you can move fast, but your body moves slower. It's just natural. And that could be a problem for Crawford. What do you think about that, Harold? What's your opinion on that?
Well, they weighed in a couple of days ago, and they both weighed the same, 167.5. Now, you've got rehydration. You've got Canelo possibly going up to 175. But I don't think he gets no more than 170. I think maybe 3, 4, 5 pounds, because he just normally walks around at 170.
Right.
Supposedly from Bud and from other sources, that muscle or whatever was put on properly. It wasn't weight. It wasn't water weight. It was actual muscle that retained the speed retain the speed. As you said, Mark, you can gain that weight and your brain thinks I'm just as quick, but you're not.
Right.
We just have to see that. Now, about Bud setting traps. Case in point, I read an article, Bradley was a champion. He needed a sparring partner. He had been beating up all his sparring partners badly. Right. His trainer said, hey, there's this kid. Let's bring him in from Omaha. They flew him in. They didn't even let him go to the hotel. They brought him right to the ring because if Bradley beat him up, they want to send him back on the plane that same night.
Right.
Bradley got beat up for 4 rounds by Bud Crawford. Bradley's trainer stopped the sparring because Bradley had a title fight in a couple of weeks. He didn't need his confidence shook, and he didn't need his boy hurt.
Right.
Bradley said, Crawford knows how to set traps. He said he tried. He said, I'm just going to go easy on him. But then he said, I went full bore and I was getting my hat handed to me and my trainer had to stop. They paid Bud, sent him on home. Now, Bradley went to Bud and said, hey, you're going to be champion. You are different. You are different. But the point is, even at that part of his career, with a champion who was current, who had a major fight, and we know Bradley is a great fighter.
Right.
He had his way with him, and Bradley was charging him.
Yeah, like
because he was getting embarrassed initially in the sparring.
Yeah.
And he still couldn't have his way with Bud to the point where Bradley's trainer had to stop. It went 4 rounds, and they stopped the sparring.
Yeah.
Because Bradley was getting his head beat up. So,
yeah.
If you look at that, and they say Crawford hasn't fought anybody of note or whatever, Bradley was at his prime, and Bud was still coming up, and that style is either gotten better or is still intact, and he had his way with Bradley. And I just want to say that is something that you got to pay attention to from another Hall of Fame fighter,
right,
who was at his prime. So that is a piece that you have to look at, I believe.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's compelling. It's definitely compelling. I mean, there is no question that both of these gentlemen possess skills that are beyond the average fighter. The average professional fighter does not possess the skills that these two individuals possess. And tonight is just not, it's not just another Netflix pay-per-view. It's not a pay-per-view, but it's not another mega fight. This is, to me, one of the best fights in the last 5 years, if not longer. I mean, I would venture to say decade, but definitely in the last 5 years, this is one of the ones that I really am compelled, because it's such an interesting matchup. And it's so unexpected. And the other thing, in an era where a lot of fighters don't freaking want to fight each other, man. Nobody wants to fight. Fighters, there are some that do, but most of the fighters, it's an interesting industry, right? Like, just guys want to fight, where they know they're going to win. And this isn't that fight. This isn't that kind of fight. This is a fight where either one of them, Harold, have a lot to lose. They both have a lot to lose. I know that Crawford was quoted as saying, and I paraphrase, that he, has more to lose than Canelo has to lose. And I don't think that's true at all. I think they both have a tremendous amount to lose here. And either one, like you would hope that neither one of them loses, period. Right? Because they both have so much to lose. I can't
go with that. When Canelo went up to Bivol and he lost, he got a pass. When he lost to Floyd, he got a pass. Now, if Bud loses, he'll get a pass. He dared to be great. He moved up. Why can't the same consideration Canelo got for losing to Bivol, even in the run-up, they say nothing about Bivol whooping him. They say nothing about Floyd whooping him. They act like it never happened. He got a pass. So if Bud loses, he should get a pass as well. He's moving up 2 weight classes to the particular person. Now, as far as Canelo cutting off the ring, he didn't cut off no ring. He's had problems. Skull ran around, he couldn't cut him off. Charlo ran around, he couldn't cut him off. In my opinion, his last fight, either he chose not to cut him off, or he couldn't cut him off. But he didn't cut the ring down on those 2 guys at all.
Well, in his last fight, Harold, just so the audience knows what we're talking about, his last fight, Canelo went the distance, right? That's the fight you're talking about, he did. Right? So just so you guys know, what Harold's mentioning is that Canelo went the distance in the last fight. He didn't do the best job at cutting the ring off, even though I said that he cuts off the ring great. But, to Harold's point,
Charlo, he didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is, like I said, and to your point, I just want to make one clarification too about what you just said, because I do believe that they both have a lot to lose. And when I say that, I don't mean it in a traditional way, Harold. I don't mean it in the way of if Crawford loses, he goes back down. He goes back down to the weight class that he's dominant in, and he continues to to dominate that division until he decides he doesn't want to fight anymore. That's a fact. And he's going to get a pass, just like Canelo got a pass. But I don't think that is where Crawford's head is at. I think Crawford really, obviously he believes that he's going to knock Canelo out. He believes that he's going to go up 2 weight classes and dominate Canelo Alvarez. So for him to lose, he's got a lot to lose psychologically. There's a lot there for him to, that he's trying to prove in the mere act of going up to fight Canelo, right? Not to mention the money he's making, because $50 million is not that. That's nothing to sneeze at. And if he beats Canelo, that 150 immediately turns into 200,000, because his next fight is going to be $150 million. So he's got a lot to lose here, is what I'm trying to say. That makes sense?
Okay, from that standpoint, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we'll still get opportunity to either have a rematch or not. I'm not at the end of the podcast, I guess I'll say who I'm thinking that is going to prevail in this this, but there's so many other factors. Now, another factor we have to consider: Boots is sparring with Canelo. Ooh. The boxing public doesn't like it, only because they are not happy with Boots moving up, getting away from not go ahead and unifying the division he was in.
Right.
He moved out of the way because he didn't want to deal with that division where he was. He didn't want to fight Norman. He didn't want to fight some other people in that division. He moved out of it.
Right.
So right now, the boxing public does not like him. We don't like him. However, the narrative he's taking is beautiful, because now he has a fight in October. Yeah. And if you don't like Boots, you're going to pay to watch Boots. So Boots might as well take that mantle as, I'm the bad guy, no one likes me, come watch me, because I'm going to put these boys out. Now, in sparring, you don't necessarily bring in somebody who could possibly hurt you. Now, it looks good on paper and the press loves it. Everybody say, oh, Boots is training with Canelo.
Right.
He brought him in as a sparring partner. What a wonderful thing. But that's dangerous. I don't see that as a possibility, because they both have egos. Boots is saying, okay, yeah, you're going to pay me $300,000 to come in here and spar with you for a few days, or whatever the number is. But I'm going to put it on you if I can. And then Canelo has his own ego, and they may go at it. Yeah, I know the gloves are bigger, and the trainers are watching, and they are an adage, this is just sparring, whatever.
Right.
But it still can come out, and injuries can happen. So I don't know that having Boots in there, other than for the world and the press to see, oh, he's taking it serious, I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing to do, because he could possibly hurt himself. Now, for Boots, it's win-win. I'm going to go in there. It's going to look good or not. I'll help him or not help him, but I got to fight in October. So I'm going to be good. So I don't know if that was a positive thing for Canelo to do or not. It looks good. It sounds good.
Well,
but
I mean, I'm sure they signed an NDA.
We don't know how good it really was.
I'm sure, Harold, they signed an NDA for him to go in there and work, right? I'm sure he signed an NDA, non-disclosure.
I'm talking about the actual work they did.
Yeah.
The actual work they did between the two of them. I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. Okay, am I going to spar with you and help you, or going to, we're going to engage a little bit? What's it going to be?
Well,
Mark, you spar with a lot of people, and you spar with people who were cool with you. I mean, you guys are going to spar, you're going to work. But then time you spar with people who say, okay, this is we're going to fight. So which one was it?
Well, I mean, I wasn't in the camp, so I can't really say.
I'm talking about your own experience as a fighter when you sparred. So
with the way that we spar, I mean, basically, if you're going to spar a guy, right? The camp is a certain number of weeks, right? Certain number of weeks or even months. In the camp, there's a profile, there's an actual schedule, a training schedule, right? And in that schedule, there are different fighters that are coming in, hopefully to produce certain skills in your fighter, to help your fighter work on certain avenues of their game, rather than I'm bringing a guy in to take my head off, etc. So there are times where guys come into camp and they have that attitude and they go home the next day. Sometimes they go home the next day because they got their, they got their they got their asparagus handed to them, right? Or asparagus handed to them, or maybe they were too competitive, or maybe they run the risk of hurting the fighter, and so these are things that happen in camps, and managers and trainers are constantly vigilant about who's coming to camp and what their goal is and what their job is. You go to camp as a sparring partner, there's a job you have. Sometimes the job is to take the guy's head off, and sometimes the job is to work with him on certain skills that he needs to develop. So that's just about the progression of the camp, and not so much about why Boots came in. Was it optics? I doubt it. I think it was more about he wants that Philly style. He wants that technical boxer style, and he wants to have a look at it, and he wants to see what he can do against someone who actually is an elite fighter in the division, who hasn't proved himself yet, but is a very formidable fighter in Boots, Jerron Boots Ennis, who has not yet peaked, who has not yet gotten to the mountaintop. And so, Canelo, Crawford, they're at the mountaintop. They're deciding whether or not they're going to jump and how far. But, Boots is on his way up, Harold. He's on his way up. So to have a look at a guy who maybe could, do some damage to you in a real fight is a serious thing. And also, Boots has got to think about, okay, what happens after this fight? What do I, am I going to face one of these guys, or what's going to happen? Because this is where the money is, right? So there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of shuffling of the deck, if you will, right now. But I think they brought Boots in because Canelo's team knows that they need to have a look at someone who has a profile of a similar fighting style as Bud Crawford. And while he's not a southpaw, he's not a southpaw, but he possesses the same speed.
But he switches.
Right, so he can deal with the switch aspect.
Switches.
And I'm sure they brought in, a half a dozen other guys to spar with Canelo to also do the same thing. And Bud's had, his share of guys that have come in, that are going to emulate a Canelo style.
Mexican style fighters.
For sure.
Yes, he has.
And interestingly enough,
so I just thought that was kind of different.
Yeah, it is. It is different. And it's a great, in analyzing the fight, it's another aspect, because I believe that the quality of sparring that you have is in direct proportion with how you're going to perform on fight night. Right? The kind of sparring you get will determine how you fight on fight night. And if you didn't get sparring or you got poor sparring, that's going to affect you in that fight. It makes you less relevant, less aware, your reflexes are a little, so there's a lot to that. And even with the injury, if there is an injury, which, who knows how that rumor got started, exactly where it is or what the factual basis for that is. But
yeah,
who knows what the gamesmanship is there, what camp is launching that, why they're launching that, does it help with the odds? Does it make the fight more, is it the odds makers who gosh, like somebody's making a lot of money.
Bud addressed it.
Yeah.
He addressed it so flippantly.
It could be my right.
Maybe my this shoulder, maybe my shoulder on my left. Who knows?
We don't really know but I'm hurt. We don't even know if I'm hurt. But if I am, it's going to be either my right shoulder or my left one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm hurt, but just if you want to know, it's probably going to be my right shoulder or my left one if I'm hurt.
But don't tell Canelo.
But just don't tell Canelo. Only you guys know. Come on, really?
Perfect deflection.
Yeah,
of
great.
A rumor.
And super, super astute, professionally astute. Look, this fight is something, man. This is, Canelo with the boxer puncher style, highly technical, highly well-placed punches, great head movement, great control of distance, able to manipulate the pocket, able to set up big shots out of, with fighters pulling out of the pocket. It's a great fight for Canelo. Crawford, exceptionally skilled, gifted fighter, fights on both sides, long and lanky, boxing IQ, probably one of the best in the sport, if not the best in the sport. Able to fight forward, able to fight back to the right, to the left, southpaw, orthodox. The guy can do it all. This is the only piece that has been an issue for me is going up the 2 weight classes. And you can go back and listen to the podcast because that's what I said. And I do believe it will make a difference. And it could, depending on how they rehydrate. And I understand there's not a rehydration clause in the contract.
There's not.
Yeah. So that could move the pendulum either way, Harold, right? Let's discuss that.
How big do you think Canelo can get, though?
Oh, man.
75, 80?
Canelo could be light heavyweight. He actually, at one point in his career, if you remember, I'm going back 3 years in our podcast, but we did a podcast where Canelo was purported there was rumors of Canelo even wanting to go to light heavyweight. This was just before the Bivol fight. And then when he lost the Bivol fight, there was no more discussion about him going higher in a weight class. But his initial goal for his legacy was to go all the way up to heavyweight. So what does that tell you?
That he can handle that weight and and hopefully keep the speed.
Yeah,
so Bud can only rehydrate. I say at the most, we spoke this earlier, maybe 75, because he walked around. They say he walked around at 70 all the time when he wasn't fighting or whatever.
Right.
And then he could probably, I don't know that discipline. You would know better than I. We know they both came in at 167.5. So yeah, you would be able to speak to how Bud's frame, with his past, where he came from, and, Canelo's frame, knowing what we just spoke of, him possibly going to heavyweight or what have you, who could possibly come in the heaviest.
Well,
waterweight is not the same as, putting on actual poundage, which can happen overnight.
Well, and I think, to your point, I think that putting too much weight on could be catastrophic for either one of them, right? Like if they rehydrate and go beyond, right, that could be a big issue as well. So I think Canelo has to watch not to go too high for the fight because that's going to slow him down, make him sluggish. And the same for Bud. I don't think Bud wants to. I think if anything, like you said earlier on in the broadcast, Crawford would do him well to make sure that he doesn't lose his speed, or at least his speed is a little faster than Canelo, because that's a major attribute in this fight. If we watch the opening rounds, Harold, and Canelo comes out zippy at his weight, and Crawford comes out sluggish and slow, you can count your. I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. You already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if Bud comes out and he's quick and fast, and he maintains that speed, and he can stay ahead of Canelo with his rhythm, Canelo's going to have an issue. That's what I believe.
That's what Floyd did. That's what Floyd did.
Yeah.
That's what Floyd did. He beat him to that point. And Canelo was quick at that time. His head movement, everything was good. Well, he did develop head movement after that fight, but he was coming, and he just could not pull the trigger faster than Floyd at that time.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, that's something to deal with. But I gotta go back to Floyd just quickly. Floyd was 5'8", but Floyd had a wing. His reach was of a 6-foot man, 72 inches.
Yeah.
So Floyd was 4 inches shorter than a 6-foot man, but he had the same reach.
Right.
That's why when you got close to Floyd, you thought you was out of range, and you were not. That was one reason why he was able to be so successful so long, because I'm out of range. Cotto, I'm out of range. Everyone else, I'm out of range. Bing, bing.
Yeah,
that right hand's coming. That stab jab to the body. I'm out of range. Oh, here's a stab jab. That kept everybody off. I am saying that, tell the tape, Crawford is longer and he's taller. So that reach may be something. Bivol had the reach on Canelo. It didn't bother Canelo. So we just don't know exactly how all this is going to work out.
Right. Well,
and if you look at that, you see some things that could be prevalent.
Yeah. So for those of you that can't see the graphic that I just brought up really quickly, I've got a graphic that I pulled up that basically has, Canelo's 63-2-2, and Crawford is 41-0. And I believe 41-0, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think he's 31 KOs, right? Yeah, 31 KOs. That's right. And Canelo's got 39 KOs. So, Canelo's done 520 rounds of boxing, professional boxing, and Crawford's done 245 rounds. The height of Canelo is 5'8".
I think that's incorrect.
Okay. Well, the height anyway. We'll if you think it's incorrect, drop your comment, then you'll tell us why in a second. The height is 5'8" for Canelo, 5'8" for Crawford. The reach for Canelo is 71, and the reach for Crawford is 74. Right? So, you tell me why you think the number of rounds are incorrect. Was it something about the graphic, or?
No, not the rounds, the height. I believe
really?
Crawford is taller. Yes. There's so many of these out there.
Yeah.
I've seen different variations on the height only. I've never seen the round caption before.
Right.
But we did discuss earlier where you were saying that because of all the rounds that Canelo had, there's a possibility he could be the older fighter.
Whoa.
Chronologically, of course, they're the same age, but Canelo went pro at 15, and Bud was kind of a late bloomer. Canelo's been through some really serious fights. Those two Golovkin fights, there was some hard fights. I can never say that I've seen Bud struggle. Maybe with the last fight at the higher weight class, and that one fight was supposedly he was knocked down.
Yeah.
But all of his other work he hasn't been challenged. Yeah. Canelo was challenged with Triple G both times.
Yeah.
And that is where possibly, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, look, you saw what Bud did to Errol Spence. Errol Spence was a fantastic boxer. I mean, there's no question about that. And Crawford vaporized him pretty much, and that had a lot to do with what had happened prior with Errol Spence, I believe. His car accident, and he just had so
buzz.
many. Yeah, he had so many things
early, and that was that.
Yeah. He'd been through a lot. So the question is, like, what has Canelo actually been through that makes him, susceptible to that discrepancy there in the number of fights that they've had? Or, I don't think there is. I think that Canelo seems fresh. He looks fresh for sure in training. And, I think Eddie Reynoso has said that Canelo's going to knock Crawford out, quote unquote. We're going to knock him out, right? Bud's trainer says the same thing. We're going to knock Canelo out. We are going to put him on his butt, right? So, I mean, basically, I don't know. To your point, I don't know if they're talking about knocking each other out. Canelo, you can see how his fight style is going to lead to a knockout. But I don't see how Bud Crawford is going to knock Canelo out with that, because he's not going to be, I don't think he's going to be aggressive. I do think he's going to do more boxing. Like you've determined in your analysis that he's going to do more boxing. I believe that that's how Bud will deal with the night tonight. It's happening tonight. You guys, it's happening tonight. Yo, it's tonight. This is happening.
We'll get into the ring to 11:30.
It's 11 o'clock. We start at 9 o'clock, right? We got a boatload of fights coming up on the main card. Y'all all know it's been well documented who's fighting. So listen, man, I'm so pumped about this night of boxing. I can't wait to see all the action. I really can't. And this Crawford fight, I don't know what I'm going to have to do to stay up to watch this fight, but I'm going to watch it. My breakdown.
Take a nap.
I'm not going to take a nap.
15-minute nap.
I've got
15-minute nap.
I will not close my eyes on Netflix. They have put too much effort into this card. We have to tune in, Harold. Netflix, we'll ask for an endorsement later. But we believe in you, Netflix. We love what you're doing. We think it's great. And we are not going to go to sleep on any of the cards. I'm going to be watching all the cards. And I cannot wait. You're going to have my full attention the entire night. And yeah, man, I can't wait. So I think we're just about ready to share our analysis and who we think.
Put me on the spot.
It's okay. I mean, I'm going to go. No. I'm going to go and I'm going to just go in, right? I'm going in, Harold. And don't listen, tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up and you're all going to blast me and you're all going to write, oh, you were wrong. But I don't think I am. So I'm going to go and I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say Canelo with a stoppage late in the fight, somewhere between 9 and 11. That's my call. I'm going with Canelo Alvarez. One more victory, takes it deep, damages up those arms, softens him up, keeps the pressure on, and finds his way to a victory somewhere between 9 and 11. There's a possibility it goes the distance, but I don't think Canelo's thinking it's going the distance. I think it's somewhere between 9 and 11, as he did with lots of other fighters. You can go back and look at his when he achieves his knockouts. I'm going 9 to 11, and I'm going with Canelo.
Well, I'm going to toast to that. This is apple juice, it's not cognac
yet. Yet.
Let me say this. You have said he's going to break him down, corner him up, lock him up, and take him out. I don't see Canelo being able to cut the ring off. I see Bud counterpunching cleanly enough to get a decision. I see Bud tying him up, get him off, and continue to move. If his fitness is where it needs to be, he should be able to do that. Canelo hasn't had a knockout in what? 4 years, 5 years? The knockdowns that he's had against his prior fighters, the prior opponents, they were early, and he never finished them off. Right. And the only reason those 3 guys got knocked down is because they said, I'm going to see if I can stand in here with him. And when they chose to stand there with him, they got knocked down. They didn't go back in there again, but they had to see if they could stand there with him. I think Bud has the wherewithal and the discipline not to engage in such. There's no need for that.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, whatever it is, whatever I think I know or don't know or whatever, I'm seeing Bud win on points, cleanly scoring, because I am a judge.
Yes.
Cleanly scoring enough for the judge to see. Now, I am a NABF judge, WBC judge thing, and they send this thing over online. And I have to judge the fight live online, real time.
Right.
Because my constituents, my other judges, the ones who are working the fight, and the other judges, we're all doing the same thing at the same time.
Right.
So I've got to send over what I think is going on round by round, real time, as the fight progresses. So if I'm seeing clean, I know where I'm going to score.
Yeah.
So we have to see if Bud can take the punch, but I believe he will. I believe he's going to get away from it. And if he does take the punch, I believe he can take it because his history has shown that he hasn't had to absorb anything like that in the past.
Right.
So I'm going with Bud on points, very easy for the public to see that he's winning.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I can't, there's a scenario that plays out exactly like that. This is more, this is more about, like, as you predict and as you predict fights, it's more about understanding what would the game plan be. So we're more speculating on the game plan rather than who's going to win, really, because either can win. And we both know that either one of these guys can win. But, there's so much emphasis. You can hear it in Harold's talking about the fight and my talking about the fight. You can hear that there's a lot of talk about strategy, because what determines who wins tonight is the strategy that they use to win. So we have to give we have to take our hats off to the coaches, because both of these coaches are exceptional strategists. They're great, great strategists, both of them. And Canelo's Eddie Reynoso is one of the top strategists in the sport. So, you're not just going in with another guy. You're going in with a great team that understands what they have to do to win. And then the same on Crawford's side. Like, these guys know boxing and they know how to beat Canelo. The question is, do they use the correct tactic to win? That's really the question. The question, are they going to use the correct tactic to win? And if they pick the wrong strategy and the wrong tactics, they might lose this fight for their fighter. This is a big deal, this fight. And it's going to be won on the strategy. What do you think, Harold? What do you think about what I just said?
Well, they failed twice. They had the game plan for Floyd, didn't work. They had the game plan for Bivol, didn't work. So They got 2 L's. Reynoso on those guys.
You are tough. You are tough, Harold. Harold,
So-
listen, you guys that are tuning in right now, Harold is tough. Harold is not budging at all. Like, he's like, nope. They lost twice, same style, same quality of opposition. They're going to lose a third time, 3 times a charm. That's what Harold's saying, folks. What do you think? Give us your comments. Put your comments on YouTube. Put your comments on Facebook. Come on, we're here. Let us know what you think about the fight, right? Give us a like, right? Give us a follow on Instagram. And then on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notifications. So when we go live, you can come in and join us and have a very fruitful boxing conversation.
and that, sir, is that.
And that, sir, is that. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being with us on the Boxing Breakdown tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the fight is happening on Netflix, 9 Eastern Standard Time and 6 o'clock Pacific Time. Is that right? Yeah, I did that right.
Yes.
I'm not even reading. I'm not even reading. I just did that off my head.
Yes.
So yeah, man, like you got to tune into the fight tonight. The preliminary fights are already almost over, and I think it's just about 8 o'clock. And I think they're going to get ready to rock and roll with the main event starting. It's starting pretty soon, or all the main event fighters leading up to the main walk, which I believe is about 11 o'clock, as Harold said. Is that correct?
Yes, it's going to be kind of late. So, but the other fights are of note. We're not going to go into them now, but they're decent fights, and we are on a stage of this magnitude. The other fighters are going to go just they're life or death, and this is an opportunity for them to shine and launch themselves into the public's imagination, or get some shine. So they're going to really take advantage of this opportunity.
Oh yeah,
and fight parties all over the world because it's on Netflix. Man, I know people are having fight parties. They haven't had fight parties in years. Some of them had fight parties since Tyson and Floyd. They're having a fight party because it's on Netflix, and everybody got Netflix.
Yeah.
So
fight parties. I'm having one. I'm getting ready to go upstairs and party up. But listen,
college football will be done by 11.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So I wanted to also make a mention to our listeners. We have coming up on September 26th through the 28th, we have the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. It's a 3-day event. It happens at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. You do not want to miss it. It's going to be an amazing weekend, and I'm going to guarantee you something. And I'm going to guarantee you that weekend is going to be outstanding. You're going to meet all the fighters, and you know what they're going to be talking about, Harold?
This situation that's going occurring tonight.
Yes, they're all the pros, all the guys. Roberto, I can't wait to ask Roberto Duran who he picked, because they're all going to be there. Roberto Duran, Larry Holmes, you name it. Those they're going to be tons of fighters there. If you want more information about the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekends and awards, please go to www.Atlantic. That's for Atlantic. Atlantic City, AC, Atlantic City, B, Boxing Hall, H of Fame. Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, HCB. FOH, right? .com. You know what it is, man. Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame.com. Go to there, get your tickets, and I'll see you in Atlantic City. It's going to be outstanding. I'm telling you. And you'll be there with me. I believe you're going to make it up. I'll make a trip up to Harold. And
I will be there.
Yeah, man. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. I cannot wait. And with that, I want to thank you for being on the Boxing Breakdown, Harold. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for spending the time with me and chopping up boxing and having our listeners really be well educated. If you're going to place those bets and do that stuff that you do. Now you're in the know. You know what's happening. Go have some fun. Watch some boxing. And we will see you guys on the next episode of the Boxing Breakdown. Peace and love.
See you when I see you.
You will.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxey and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxey.
Peace.